Well, hey, Brandon, thanks for coming in. Well, thanks for having me come in, I guess. So
Yeah, absolutely. No, we appreciate you coming here.
Yeah, this is a hell of an establishment you got going on. And I've never been here before. I never even drove by. So I was like, dang, this is really cool.
No, thanks. Make sure you get a tour next door, too, the new facility.
Yeah, I was talking to Carter on the way before you came in and stuff. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll do a tour afterwards. And
it's pretty cool.
Everything else. It looks really nice. Yeah. Let me scoot up a little bit more here. But yeah, no, this is awesome. Really nice setup. This room is awesome, too.
Yeah.
You guys think about starting a podcast or something?
We should. We should.
Yeah, so you're all set up for it. This
totally.
Nice.
We do a lot of them, but you're right. We should do our own.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, I guess just a little intro. You're the founder, CEO of Sounds Central.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, how did that all get started?
Yeah, good question. So, I'm not from South Dakota originally. Grew up in the South, but I married a gal from South Dakota, and her family is really big into firearms. So to kind of fit in with her family, I decided I should probably get more involved with firearms. So basically, when I first moved here, I bought a varmint rifle and thought, most people shoot coyotes, but I thought, well, I kind of like the idea of prairie dogs, just in the South shooting rats and mice and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I really enjoyed shooting the prairie dogs. Problem is, it's about a 4-hour drive west, and then you shoot a couple times and they go in the hole. Mm-hmm. So that's why I decided to get a suppressor, silencer. Went through the process locally here to buy one. And, the process was super tough. I just, I sensed they could tell I wasn't, a huge gun guy. So they, I don't know, just sort of, I always say they made me feel like 2 inches tall.
Yeah, right.
They kind of handed me the paperwork, said, go figure it out, bring it back if you figure it out. Right. So I bought 2 there. And then on the third one, I said, I'm going to get my own license just to really, honestly, to get my own suppressor without having to deal with the local gun store, as bad as that sounds.
Oh, okay. So you went out and got your own FFL
Okay. Yeah, and SOT to sell them. The other thing is my father-in-law had an FFL in his pharmacy. He's also a pharmacist. And
wait, he had an FFL in his pharmacy?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
And I don't think he really sold any guns. I think, someone said, hey, I see you have an FFL. Can I have something transferred to you? He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And
that's cool.
Yeah, he kind of inherited that from the pharmacy. So I thought, I should say I found it beneficial to know someone with an FFL because he's so nice. I mean, he would order if I needed a new scope or, he would order and ship it up here to me. And just, I thought, wow, I hate to keep taking advantage of him. I should get my own FFL. And then once I got it, it's pretty expensive to have the FFL and the SOT to sell silencers without, selling something. Mm-hmm. So pretty quickly I was like, I'd come from pharmaceutical sales. So I was like, I should probably sell a few. And then I just kind of caught on from there.
Oh, okay. So you were doing pharmaceutical sales before Sounds Central.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah. So right out of pharmacy school. So I went to pharmacy school at North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And when I finished pharmacy school, I went to Panama City, Florida. I was basically drug rep is what they used to call it there. Mm. And then ended up moving into the home office for Glaxo and working, in sales and marketing there and kind of working my way up. Mm-hmm. They pushed me to get an MBA, so I went to Duke. They were paying for it. So
hard to say no to that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. It worked out well. People, think it's weird that I went to Chapel and Duke, but with someone else paying for it,
yeah, right.
Go to the school that ranks better.
Yeah, exactly. Especially that's something that you want to do. It's like you want to get the most out of it that you can while you have the opportunity.
And they were just honest with me that in the corporate office, I was seen as either a sales guy or a pharmacist. They wanted really for me to be seen as a business person, within the executive levels. And I was like, all right, fair enough. If you guys will pay for it, I'll do it. So
awesome.
Yeah. That's cool. I think it prepared me well for this, which is good. I mean, I obviously didn't know at the time that's what it would be, but it's worked out well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, going from pharmaceutical sales to now you're doing your own sales.
Yeah, totally.
You already have a whole bunch of experience doing all that. So
totally.
Kind of fits right into what you're doing now, I guess, or what you started doing. So, and you started Sounds Central in 2005?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's sometimes hard for people to make the sort of the stretch or the jump, but I always say that, one thing is that just that meticulous, like pharmacist mentality of right pill, right bottle, right patient, right doctor, just that meticulous, like, because someone's life's on the line. So I just remember always being having that same sort of litmus test on the compliance paperwork. Because that's really, that's honestly was my insight and still is my insight that what keeps people from buying suppressors is the paperwork. Mm-hmm. So if you can ease their anxiety around the paperwork, they almost always want a suppressor. They just don't want to deal with the paperwork. So if you
100%.
So if I tell them I'm taking that burden off of you and I'm putting it on me because that's all we do, then they sort of drops that anxiety. And I think that's why we had success. Just, I became sort of the compliance guy. They're like, yeah, he's got to figure it out. Go buy one from him. I mean, that's the way the gun shows, sportsman shows, farm shows over the years, that's kind of how we built. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, in this world, especially like the outdoors / firearms world, I mean, word of mouth, it spreads pretty quick.
Totally, yeah.
And then you're just like, kind of like, oh, what am I going to do now? Like,
yeah.
You kind of just get the ball rolling, and once it gets rolling, and if you're known as the guy that makes things easier, it's going to kind of snowball.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Is that kind of what happened then with you? Like you just kind of do it for fun and then
100%. Yeah, 100%. I mean, the reality is back then when I first started doing this in the early, like you said, 2005, most of the farmers were paying cash. So, it was pretty nice to get cash and still have a day job. It worked out pretty well for a while. But I think what I found interesting about the gun shows is that the other tables or vendors didn't feel like I was competing with them. So, because no one else was really selling silencers there. So it's very easy for them to say, oh, if you want a silencer, go to that guy. He's got to figure it out. Super honest, super reliable, button down, just got a reputation of that. And me not being from here, I think it was hard for me to get that because I first moved here from Florida, so I obviously probably didn't have a South Dakota accent.
Right.
And most of these gun shows were more collectible shows, so they kind of they didn't see silencers as even a firearm. So there's a lot of obstacles that sort of kept me from breaking into that mold. But once I got in there, it did go well. All the vendors are like, hey, if you need a silencer, he's your guy. And it just sort of fueled from there. So, it's good.
That's awesome. So you really started out in a lot of the really small, like gun show type
100%.
things. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100% events.
I've been to a bunch of those, and it's exactly what it is. You have a lot of, like, people with, like, excess guns they just can't get rid of or sell anywhere else.
Totally.
Like, let's go throw in the gun show and see what happens.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And I kept telling myself that, like, so in pharmaceuticals, we talk about, like, the thought leaders or sort of the specialist or the people that whatever they did, then the people around them would do. Like, sort of like if a physician refers to a specialist and a specialist uses a particular medication, and typically the ones that are doing the referring will start thinking about that medication. So I had the same sort of mindset with working the gun shows that most of the people that go to gun shows are kind of already in the top 5% of, like, gun experts. So if they're buying from us, then they're going to refer us to their friends too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it only takes a few, like, reputable references in order to kind of really get the ball rolling on that aspect. So, yeah, because, 2005, that's like pretty early. I don't think there's a whole lot of people doing suppressor stuff at that time. Like, it was just kind of one of those things where, like, oh, yeah, like short-barreled shotguns, short-barreled rifles, and suppressors, like NFA item stuff, they're just kind of like, we can't have it kind of deal. Like, just because the paperwork is such a hassle.
Yeah, and that was the hard part. I would say that, they were illegal at that time in Iowa and Minnesota.
Yep.
So when I would work the gun show in Sioux Falls, a lot of people come from Iowa and Minnesota, so they're like, well, they're illegal. And it's like, no, even people in South Dakota thought they were illegal. So I felt like I spent the first year kind of convincing people, no, they're not illegal. I was just fortunate there's a lot of coyote hunters here, and there's a huge benefit for suppressor and coyote hunting. So it really helped me in the Dakotas when I first got started.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, those are kind of the first people I've noticed having suppressors, or all the coyote hunters and stuff. And I was just like, it seems like everyone has them now, which is awesome in my opinion. I'm all about, Victory Drive's always been we're super pro 2A, kind of thing.
Totally.
It's just one of those things where seeing like the suppressor market really blow up. I mean, man, it's been nice to see, especially after making it easier. Like almost every company makes it fairly easy now, where it's like all the information's at least out there somewhere for you to find.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, Silencer Central, I don't know, probably one of the only ones that like makes it that easy, where it's literally just like you have someone telling you like, this is what I need. Okay, here you go. And then just everything else is done. Otherwise it's on you. You go to a local gun store or somewhere else and they're like, okay, well, here's the paperwork.
Yeah.
Bring it to me when you're done.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, totally. No, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's helped that we've been able to automate it, basically using automation with digital so that, we can streamline it where it's super quick. And the other good thing is like, we've gotten so good with the paperwork that it's rare for us to have a disapproval unless it's through a background check.
Yeah.
Because we basically are scrutinizing that to make sure that they could just flow through here. I mean, I think we could do 4,000 an hour, just that many applications, just from a volume perspective. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot. It's a lot.
That's a lot of damn paperwork too.
Yeah, totally.
Jeez.
Totally.
But so have you, like, we're on that subject a little bit. Have you noticed, like, since the, so like the Hearing Protection Act didn't really get passed through the way it was intended to get passed through, but the tax, I think it starts January of 26 when the tax gets dropped to zero. Have you noticed like a lot of influx, or have you kind of noticed like people are kind of waiting? Or
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I saw this when Trump got elected the first time. Everyone thought he was going to get it approved. I think maybe even his son kind of publicly came out and said, we're going to get the Hearing Protection Act through. So the market kind of died. And then, so kind of also this time too, like when he first got elected, there wasn't as much sales because all Republicans in office, so they feel like they're not going to lose the right. And then I think they feel like Trump, I would say it's probably like January, February is when we started hearing rumblings that some things might change. And then people kind of slowed up on buying, kind of waiting for the change. And then when they found out, July 1st that it's final, that come January 1st, the tax stamp's going away, then a lot of people are on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I mean, we're offering a tax stamp, but I think it's helped. I mean, we track our market share and it's gone up during this period. So I feel like it's helped us gain share, but there's still a ton of people on the sidelines. My other thought is that people will hear there's no tax stamp anymore. And I think that people will then jump in. They may think, well, there must be less paperwork if there's no tax stamp, or they'll think it must be easier. And then when they go through it, they'll be like, it wasn't as hard as I thought anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's kind of like, well, Ashley and I, we went and hunted in Africa twice and France once. And it's kind of like one of those things where we're getting ready to go to Africa for the first time. We're like, we're not made of money, but at the same time, we're like, yeah, this is a really cool trip. Probably once in a lifetime. Probably won't go back.
Yeah.
But once you do it the first time, you're like, man, that really wasn't that bad.
Yeah, totally.
It really, like, it was a long trip.
Yeah.
But you really realize, like, man, if I can do that, like, that's what else can I do? We ended up going back to Africa and then going to France, and you just realize, like, once you open up Pandora's box, you're kind of like, that wasn't really that bad.
Yeah,
I can keep doing this a little bit.
Totally.
Kind of same thing with silencers, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, once you get your first one, you're like, well, shit, it wasn't that bad. I just had to do some paperwork and some scans, like fingerprint scans, and then you're good to go and just wait.
Totally.
So
yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So because I noticed, like, with you guys, you started offering. You guys are paying the tax stamp right now?
Yeah, we cover it for them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we've worked with our manufacturers, so we kind of split it, in some cases where they'll pay a part, we'll pay a part. So it's worked out well there. But yeah, I mean, we figured that, there's really no incentive for anyone to buy now if they could just wait.
Right.
So we said we got to create an incentive so that they will. So like I said, I feel like it's helped us grab share, but still, I mean, I'd say we're probably selling more than we sold last year, but then again, we're basically, kind of breaking even, kind of keeping the lights on goal just for 6 months.
Right.
So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, as a consumer, that's what I would do.
Yeah,
it's like, well, shit, it's going to go drop to zero. Like, I'm going to wait and get $200 less.
Totally.
And pay $200 less for a suppressor, the same thing. So I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
I've gone this long without it, so might as well just keep going another few months. But
totally, that's what's happening.
Yeah. But I mean, that's nice that you guys are doing that. It does, obviously, that is a lot of money. $200 adds up per sale, but
totally.
It's already a competitive market, so you can't really
tough.
jack the price up another $200. Everyone knows that. That's not great, but
totally.
Oh man, yeah. Because that whole thing, I mean, is definitely really weird. There's a lot of rumblings with the HPA going away or going through and then getting taken off the NFA completely.
Yeah.
Obviously that didn't happen. I think a lot of people were hoping it happened.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know how well versed you are in the process that it went through, where it went in the hit like the Senate parliamentarian and stuff. And
yeah, it was. I mean, because we were told there was 3 or 4 U.S. senators that went to the parliamentarian before all this and asked, "Is there a chance if it goes through?" And she said no.
Oh, really?
So since we knew that, we're like, well, there needs to be a backup, because if we know she's not going to push it through.
No shit.
Yeah. I mean, of course.
So they already kind of knew before going into it?
Yeah. So of course, I hear every side.
Yeah.
Just, but some people are like, oh, is this just a fundraising activity for some of these groups to say, hey, this is our chance. You got to give us money. You got to call. You got to, So who knows? I mean, but there's another budget reconciliation coming up. Maybe they'll try again. But I think that she had said, hey, there's no way that you can get this because it's, it's budget reconciliation. This is truly would be a regulatory change.
Right.
Of course, it brings up all these other things that you don't necessarily think about at the time. But like in South Dakota, it says, the state law says, if you don't go through the federal registration process, then you can't own a silencer. So if the federal process goes away, then can you buy a silencer in South Dakota? Now we're going to change that law.
I would say it'd have to get changed in the state.
It'll be easy for us to change that, but I think there's 15 other states that have similar language that have to be changed, and I think there's going to be some hard ones out there that are big states like Georgia. It'd be harder to change things like that.
That's true. They're a little bit closer as far as
purplish or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And then the other thing too is, the concern is if they start making it too easy, then a lot of states are going to start making them illegal in their state, like Colorado and Oregon and Washington State.
Oh, I never even thought about that.
So there's a lot of I mean, obviously we make Banish, and so if the Human Protection Act went through, it'd be a huge windfall for us because we did over $100 million last year just in Banish sales. So if we didn't have to pay the tax, obviously it'd be a huge win for us.
For sure.
So we were hoping it would go through, but we were also realistic that if the parliamentarian has told several of, I don't know if it's her colleagues or people that she works for, that there's zero chance it's going through, then we got to look at backup. So at least there was a backup in the works for getting rid of the tax stamp. So at least, hopefully, it's also a progression. I mean, the hopes is that maybe some of these lawsuits could have an impact as well. Like they're saying that because there is no tax and it's being registered, then the government can't do that somehow, and that they may get rid of it that way, which then brings back the importance again of trying to fix this at a state level at each of the states.
Right. That was always kind of my thing with when they were talking about the HPA, pushing the HPA through and stuff like that. And I was kind of thinking, well, the NFA wasn't a budgetary law,
right?
So to get the HPA pushed through a budget conciliation. Gosh, I can't say that word.
Yeah, budget
reconciliation program. Like that's kind of I'm not obviously I can't even say reconciliation, right? But I'm not a law guy. Like I don't know that, but I'm like, well, that seems like kind of two different. It seems like kind of a stretch.
Yeah.
To get like a law that was passed the proper way, through House and Congress, then signed by the president. It kind of needs to go through the same process. Outside as an actual law rather than a budget reconciliation. Because I think the voting is even different. Like I think with budget reconciliation, they only need, it's like
50%.
50%.
Yeah,
51%.
simple majority. Well, simple majority. So
majority.
Anything over 50, So it is a whole lot easier. Because if you could do any kind of statute changes, regulatory, they'd run everything through there.
Oh yeah.
And then the hard part is just got to wonder what are the Democrats going to do, because if they'll get back in power at some point, unfortunately. And I'm just like, well, is tax stamp going to go to 500, 1,000? Yeah, I don't know.
We've already talked about it.
I know.
I've seen stuff in California and stuff like that. This was a couple of years ago. There was a guy trying to push it through where it's like, well, okay, we can't ban AR-15s, so let's just make it do the NFA thing and just tax them $1,000. Then who's going to buy an AR-15? If you're going to buy a $500 AR, but you have to pay $1,000 in taxes to get the AR, like who's going to buy that?
Yeah,
so that's kind of it's already been pushed. Where it's like, okay, you're going to use taxes in order to impede our Second Amendment rights. It's like that's not good either. So if we do the same kind of thing to get more, I'm all for doing everything you can to get more rights back.
Yeah,
but you got to look at, like you said, the other side, and when they get back, when Democrats get back into power, what are they going to do with that same?
Totally.
They're going to wield the same sword, essentially. So, you don't want to open up that box necessarily.
Yeah, and the same thing. I know they were trying to push on through to fire the parliamentarian, but the same could happen that, if he got rid of the parliamentarian and put in a Republican appointed one, because that other one was Harry Reid appointed, then the same thing could happen with the Democrats. Exactly. So it's just, I mean, at the time, it's like, oh, yeah, let's get rid of her, that we get whatever we want through. It sounds great, but it's got repercussions later.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if we really want meaningful, gun rights returned back to the citizens, if we really want that to be actually feasible, we just got to kind of vote that way.
Yeah, totally.
Unfortunately,
100%,
across the whole country.
Yeah, totally.
It's like you just gotta. It's just the way it is. Like that's the way this country is built, and it's for a good reason. But you look at back in the 30s when the NFA and stuff got passed. I mean, the Democrats had all the control, and they were in a really sticky situation with all the organized crime and all that stuff at the time. So people were getting really fed up with mafias running around gunning people down with Tommy guns. So like, well, we should do something here, guys.
Totally,
so It's a different situation. It always takes a lot longer to get stuff reeled back in than does it get stuff enforced.
Yeah, totally.
The first place. So it's just one of those things. That's kind of the game you play in politics, which is annoying for us citizens.
Totally.
But what do you do?
True.
Definitely don't want to give that much power to any party in government personally. So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah. What do you do? I don't know. Move on. But that's kind of one of those things. Like I'd never heard that before. with they knew that before even getting in. It's like kind of wish you would have been a little bit more open with everyone else about it, but it's politics. What do you do?
Totally.
But do you think that's kind of because there's rumblings online and stuff too of like, gun companies lobbying to keep the NFA in, I guess intact, keep suppressors on there and everything else. And I do know that, I don't want to put you on the spot here by any means, but some people are saying that Silencer Central is doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I don't know. I know some guys that work there, and it's like, that does not seem to be the case.
Yeah.
And it just seems like they're a bigger company. In my mind, kind of the same thing. You take the tinfoil hat off and just think about it a little bit more logically. I'm like, you guys make your own suppressors.
Yeah, totally.
If you wanted to make more money, you want to sell more suppressors. So
100%.
if the HPA went through, you guys would be making more suppressors and selling more. So
totally. Yeah. No, it's interesting because, the whole thing that happened, some of the actions they were accusing us of were actually our competitors that did. We just sort of kept quiet. We just didn't. You hate to get into like online battles and things like that.
Oh, yeah, but especially on like Twitter and shit. It's like, that's not fun.
I mean, they interviewed me. Gun Talk did, radio station, a guy I know pretty well. And he just basically asked. And I was like, the honest truth is I was always told since I started this business that there's zero chance you can pass the Hearing Protection Act unless you have 60 U.S. senators that are going to vote for it.
100%.
So anytime I ask people, they say there's zero chance. And then I'd heard they might go through budget reconciliation. So we started making more silencers thinking it potentially could go through. But once we heard that the U.S. senators had asked the parliamentarian and said there was no chance of it going through, we were saying, hey, guys, you got to think of a backup plan. And I think that other companies were like getting more proactive with a backup plan, and they got caught. And then people were like hypothesizing who it was, and one of the names was us, and we just didn't really fight it. Maybe we should. Maybe we should have been, more public that it wasn't us. Because one thing that they were pointing to was, we have invested in like conservation things. I mean, I think we're on track to give, close to $10 million this year to conservation. So we give a lot of money to conservation. But people misunderstood the word conservation, meaning they thought we were trying to conserve, or I don't know.
No,
it's really weird. It made no sense to me. I was thinking to myself, gosh. Get your Webster's.com dictionary and look up the word conservation. I mean, it was all about, because what we did is, this was last year during the Biden administration, our lobbyist, he works for all the conservation groups, and he said, hey, what if we got that $200 tax and sent it to conservation? Because right now silencers don't go underneath Pittman Robertson, so no money goes to conservation, whereas other firearms and ammunition does. So I was like, that sounds like a good idea, because if the money now is just going to the government, it's not earmarked to anything. If we could earmark it to conservation, that'd be great, because they build ranges. I mean, they do a lot of really good things with that money. And so we had a Utah House of Representatives, create a bill and put it forward. And so that's what we put our money behind last year. Was just, we felt like too, it would sort of reemphasize the importance of suppressors and hunting, to kind of get the message out there. It's also a reminder that the money right now just goes to the general coffers to the Treasury. It doesn't even go to the ATF. It just goes to the U.S. government. So we thought, wow, if there's a way to give back to the conservation groups, that'd be a win. But then, that was put in he has to do quarterly reports of what we're spending money on. I think he put in there, conservation or whatever. And somebody thought it was conservation of the tax stamp, which is
like the way he worded it on the paperwork, which eventually got made public, which is like kind of one of those things. It is weird because it was written up in 2024, which is during but we didn't know in 2024 who was going to stay president. We didn't know, so it's like you put it in there, but it did say in there like tax stamp conservation. So it's kind of like people look at that and like, he's trying to kind of conserve the tax stamp. It's like, well, no, like you said, like conservation for wildlife conservation, because Pittman Robertson, I don't know a single person, whether it's like a non-hunting gun guy that just likes to shoot at the flat range, or anyone that's hunting. No one's ever been like, Pittman Robertson sucks. Besides,
good point.
I lied. One guy, Andrew Clyde in Congress, he was trying to pass to get rid of Pittman Robertson, but everyone else I talked to is very popular because it does generally go to good things. So
because the number of hunters is decreasing and the amount of money has been decreasing, so it looked like a good marriage. That, of course, tax stamp's gone now, so it's not an issue. But
but at the time you didn't know.
Of course. I mean, why would we try to conserve it? I mean, there was a Democrat in office that, you didn't need to spend money to conserve it. It was already in place. I don't know. You're right. It was in 24, which was before. Who knows? Anyway, we had, we'd never been involved in a situation like that where people publicly accuse you of something. We're kind of like, well, Okay, let's look at the math. I mean, it's public. I think we give our lobbyists $10,000 a month. The amount of money we spend on lobbying is really low. And most of the things we've used them for are negotiating to help ATF get funding for, processing NFA forms.
Which makes sense because, you don't want to give money to the already bloated ATF, but at the same time, like if we want to get shit done and get paperwork that is necessary, we want to get that pushed through. Totally. You gotta have the people to process it.
And then we were advocating in the past for like money for e-forms, trying to get the e-forms back up because it went down in like 2014, 15 and never came back. So, little things like that. We weren't spending anywhere near. I mean, we don't have big money to give donations to companies to make a difference.
Right,
so it was more just blocking and tackling of trying to make the paperwork easier for us, which we've been able to change some things for that, which has been good. We haven't really made that public because we don't want our competitors to know, but there's a lot of things that we've done behind the scenes that have helped make the process easier for consumers to buy them. And then, of course, the pushback they might have is, well, why are you not trying to deregulate them? Again, I was told unless you have 60 U.S. senators on board, it's a non-starter. Why waste the money and the time? But
right.
I get it.
No, yeah, and I get that. And it's like one of those things, too, like if anyone else wants to, push forward and everything else, have at it. Yeah. But it's one of those things where once you I think the issue with the internet is that you have a lot of people that just listen to other people and think they know what is going on. Yeah. It's like you do, like when you're passing a budget reconciliation, it's 50% majority, 51% or whatever. And to pass an actual bill, it's 60-40.
Yeah.
So if you don't have 60 U.S. senators that are like, hell yeah, let's do let's pass the HPA.
Yeah.
Like you are kind of screwed. So instead of wasting time, money on it, like you said, it's like those resources could be spent somewhere else better.
Yeah, totally.
So and I totally get that. That's one of those things where it just seems weird, like but that's the other thing. Like everyone, I don't know, everyone on the internet, sometimes they just need to chill out a little bit
totally.
and like take a step back and think about things a little bit more. But I mean, I've been guilty of it myself personally. It is kind of fun to get it conspiratorial every once in a while, but sometimes you got to think like, would a Sounds company really be wanting to do that? Like that just doesn't make business sense to me. If you break it all down, and if you look at Sound Central as not, an ideologically driven company, just a straight up company that wants to make profit.
Totally.
HPA, getting pushed through would make more money. So it makes more sense to want that to happen.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, choice of doubling or tripling your business overnight or staying where you're at. Okay, that's a tough, it didn't make any sense to me. I don't, I think there's other companies out there that probably had more to lose that were probably more involved than people want to admit. That's probably the best way I would. Yeah, that's been my experience, just based on. Unfortunately, I get to look under the covers at some things going on, and that's kind of what I see.
Yeah, and some dude on Reddit doesn't have that, so they're just kind of sitting in their basement like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Totally. And I get it; it was a hot issue. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. Well, it's just one of those things where everyone's so like ready for it.
Totally. Yeah. Feels like good timing.
Yeah.
I agree.
This looks great. Totally, it has a lot of support.
Yeah.
But just not enough.
Totally.
Just not enough.
Yeah.
Which sucks. This is one of those things. But, we've been dealing with it for 90 years. So I think we can deal with it a little bit longer. Unfortunately, I'm still going to push for it, obviously. And so is a lot of other people. But at the same time, at some point, we kind of got to shift our focus more a little bit towards winnable.
True.
Fights or battles, where it's like instead of losing certain rights, maybe we should focus a little more on like keeping some rather than like if we have the opportunity to regain some, let's do it.
Yeah, true.
But at the same time, like let's not lose sight of other things that are going on behind the scenes that
Totally.
Yeah.
And I mean, we told our elected officials because of course they called us, our federal officials, and we said, hey, we'll do a whole lot better underneath HPA, but you got to get something. Like the zero tax stamp is better than nothing. We can't go in because we were getting pressure like, hey, sign this letter that you're no compromise, and I'm like, well, I'd hate to do that because what if they say that this is not on the table? I don't want to walk away from a zero tax stamp. That would be foolish. I mean, it benefits consumers. I mean, it doesn't benefit obviously as much, but it's something's better than nothing.
Right. Well, and also, I don't know, getting bullied into signing a document never sat right with me personally either. Even if you agree with it, we don't want to bully each other into like sign this paper or you suck. It's like, well, that's a weird thing to do.
Plus, it was super it felt very controlling. And I mean, so I go to church with Thune, so I see him, and he's he's a Senate Majority Leader, and he's big into track. My daughter's like one of the top runners in the state for track, so I see him in a lot of the bigger track meets, and I can't see myself signing a letter that kind of bullies him. It just didn't seem right.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, it was groups that we don't really have a relationship with asking us or kind of demanding that we sign it. So I was like, if it was groups that we, have worked with that we knew, and knew this might be a one-time thing instead of an everyday kind of thing,
Yeah.
then it might have been easier.
Sure. I get that. No, it makes sense. But one thing I do really like about Sound Central personally is just like you guys focus a lot on the outdoors community.
Yeah, totally.
And that's something that like not a lot of suppressor companies really do. A lot of companies are really focused on the tactical side, which is great.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
But it sounds you guys are really taking hold of like the outdoors group,
Yes,
which
yes.
is really neat because there's a lot of guys out there that hunt that want to have suppressors and stuff. But like you said, like we look at the paperwork, we're like, I'm a simple man, I don't want to do all that.
Yeah,
so
totally.
like, that's a really cool thing to see a company do. I guess is focus on that. Was that kind of sounds like it's kind of the game plan coming up into with being prairie dogs and stuff?
Yeah, I think that you're right. It's part of our DNA, but I think what started that was just starting in the Dakotas, North Dakota, South Dakota. Almost everyone I sold to was a coyote hunter. So it kind of made us focus on, all right, how can we make something lightweight titanium? We're really one of the first companies that did titanium suppressors because it's more expensive to machine and source the titanium, but hunters are going to like that lighter weight. And then also, when you make a 308 and a light titanium, then you could justify using it on a 223. Years ago, when you only had stainless steel, it's difficult to put something big and heavy, that's made for a 308 or 300 Win Mag on a 223. It just looked awkward. But I'd say it was in our DNA just, because that was our customer mix in the Dakotas was coyote hunters. And then I think what I found was like we always worked events, and some of the biggest events are, SCI, National Wild Turkey, some of these bigger, and the best way to get into the events was to partner with them. And so we started saying, hey, we give away a lot of free silencers to your local chapters. How about we coordinate that through corporate, and we'll give you ever how many silencers you want for the year, and then you can auction those off at your events, and whatever you raise, you can keep 100% of it.
Oh yeah,
that's how they make a lot of money. So that like
you start doing that like right away. I shouldn't say right away, but it obviously takes time. But
yeah, how it first came up was once I got a license in every state where silencers are legal, so we're in all 42 states. I called National Wild Turkey and said, "Hey, we'd like to work your event." And they're like, "Well, we have a waiting list." And I was like, "Well, if you look at how many silencers I've given to your local chapters, kind of as a one-off, a customer call me and I send them some free silencers for their event. I feel like we're already a pretty good partner that maybe you aren't aware of." And then once I showed them that, they're like, "Yeah, actually, let's grow this. Let's find a way to work together." And so they were really the first company that we started doing it with. And honestly, self-servingly, it was so I could get into that event and work that event. But also, I want to get into their audience because what I found in the Dakotas at all the gun shows I worked is most people thought they were illegal. So I figured there's probably a lot of people out there that attend these hunting events that also think it's illegal to hunt with a suppressor. So if I can have at one of their local balls or whatever they have, these like groups, where they have different events to raise money. Yeah. If they have someone up there talking about Silencer Central and hunting with a suppressor, that's a win-win. So it's worth it. So if we give them a $500 silencer free, then I got all that messaging in front of all these group of people, and also that you can hunt with a suppressor. And the goal too was if they went through the process with us and saw that we could ship it right to their front door, then they tell their friends, then they buy more. So it just kind of grows like a groundswell. So it has worked really, really well. Yeah,
no, I think that's really smart. Just because, especially at the time, like being early, I guess like 2005. I don't know. I don't really think it started getting. I don't know. When I guess this is a better question rather than me ponder on it. But being in the industry for so long, when did you kind of start seeing that shift where people are starting to get where silencers are starting to become more of like a not necessarily a necessity, but a really sought after item?
Obviously it's been gradual, so it's always, but I think 2009 is when I first saw like kind of a real okay, wow, this is a big deal. And then even like, Biden changed some rules around the trust that created a huge demand. People wanted to get their suppressors before that law went into effect. Used to you could put as many people as you want on the trust in the beginning. Now you kind of have to do it after it's approved. But that change scared people. They bought a lot then. But it's what, I don't know. My dad would look at me and he's like, okay, you went to college for 8 years to be a pharmacist and to get your MBA. Why would you want to sell silencers? And I was like, Dad, people would come into a pharmacy and buy a prescription. They'd pay $5 for it, and they would complain to you about the price, but it could save their life. But if I have a silencer and someone comes to my booth and they really, really want it, they'll find a way, no matter what it takes, to get the money for that. I would rather be selling something that people are like so excited about getting. And then the other part is once they use that suppressor, almost 100% of the time they say, I'll never shoot a firearm again without a suppressor. And there's so few things in life that, I guess if you went from riding in like a buggy on a horse and into a car, car, you'd be like, I'm
Right.
definitely not ever riding a horse again.
Yeah, screw that horse. They don't even have suspension, that son of a bitch, man. We don't want to do that.
Exactly. But if you think about it in life, there's very few things you do that you're like, oh, I'll never do that again without that,
Right. Yeah. No, honestly, that's a good analogy because that's kind of how I was when I shot suppressed for the first time. Like, geez, what the hell?
Yeah.
This is awesome. And we have a young daughter. She's wanted to get into hunting a little bit, and every once in a while I'm like, man, I really got to get a suppressor for her. Cause I mean, with recoil management and with just like the noise itself, like getting young people into hunting and shooting and stuff like that. Like, honestly, I mean, call it what you will, but it's like not hearing a super loud bang every time is kind of nice. Totally. It's not only nice for an adult like me, but it's also really nice for getting kids into it because like it can be jarring at first, where it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you don't start small with a 22 and you just give them a 30-06, like shoot this thing.
Yeah, totally. It's true. It's true. Yeah.
But no, I mean it is a big deal. But it just kind of seems weird to me, like where. Because like the NFA was passed in the 30s and it didn't really start getting popular until 2009, I guess, time frame.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that it took so long. I wonder do you think it has something to do with like inflation?
I think so, because you got to pay that $200 tax.
Yep.
I think also, when I first started to buy one, it was hard to find dealers that carried them. So, it just was an awareness amongst the dealers to have them. But like I said, they handed me the paperwork, said figure it out. And if you do, bring it back. So there was just not enough people that were kind of willing to kind of hold your hand, help you walk through it. And then it's just kind of a groundswell. As more people use them and then their friends tell them, there's still a ton of people out there that don't have them that probably should. And once they do, they will. That's all they'll ever shoot again. But I always say if you could give me like maybe 5 to 7 minutes with somebody who shoots, even if they say I'll never want a silencer, I can usually convince them. And they're like, you know what, I should probably get one. It's just I still feel like the paperwork is the thing that holds people back. And once I can convince them that we've got that nailed, we got it figured out. We're going to do all the paperwork crazy easy, and we're going to mail it to your front door. They're like, all right, maybe I need to look into this a little bit more than I thought.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of trips people. I've told people that before too, or not really gun guys are not really understanding. Like, if you go through Silence Central, they'll do all the paperwork and it gets shipped to your house. And like, what? How's that work? Like,
totally.
Don't you have to go pick it up from a gun shop? Like you do a gun, if you order a gun online and everything else, you have to go pick it up at a gun shop. I'm like, no, because you're doing all the paperwork. Yeah. And it's just a part. Like it doesn't need to go through. You don't need to physically be handed it by an FFL holder. It just all of it's done, so it just gets mailed to your house. And like, holy shit, really? Huh. Okay. I don't have to go all the way to South Dakota for it? Like, no. That was awesome. So because we did it, what was it, last year? Christmas, right? Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it was when I bought my first suppressor, and it was a Banish 46.
Okay, cool.
In Iowa, we have a 35 caliber restriction.
Yep.
So I'll get a 46, and if I get a 35 Whalen or my 450 Bushmaster, it'll work for everything. It'd be great. And I mean, it was super. She actually got it for me for Christmas.
Good.
Didn't really tell me about it, but it started the whole trust thing and everything else. And I mean, it's awesome. It's just one of those things where I've held other. In Africa, they use a lot of aluminum.
Yeah.
A lot of aluminum cans over there, and just like you touch one of those, you're like, kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of, you can feel the difference between like something you buy off of, like if you say you buy like a coffee table off of Amazon versus making one out of hardwood. It's kind of,
it's true.
There's definitely more workmanship put into
totally.
like a Banish suppressor as compared to the whatever suppressors they get in Africa. I don't know if they get them at the gas station.
Yeah. Because I think they almost see them as disposable there. They'll just buy another one if something goes wrong with them. But you're right. And they're bigger there too. You notice they're like big as a soda can. I mean, they're huge.
They're huge.
I know. I so bad. Someone was asking me just in the restroom when I was walking in here, do I ever want to export? And I was like, my goal one day is to basically sell to every African safari, professional hunter or whatever, the Banish backcountry and give it to them at our exact cost. Because I'm convinced that once they use those, because when I use them there, they're like, oh my God, this thing's like a fourth the size of what we're using here. Right. I think it would really catch on for them, and then they would encourage the people that come home to use them too.
Yeah, and it's quieter.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Totally,
the suppressor I used in Africa was not near as quiet as a Banish.
No, it's true. Right.
It's way quieter. So how many times have you hunted Africa?
A lot.
My
wife might be listening. I don't know.
Okay. So you've been there enough times.
Yeah.
How was it like? Because last time we went, we were like, oh man, maybe we should bring our rifle. So we don't have to rent one and everything else. But we didn't actually go through the paperwork. But was the paperwork any more with having a suppressor, or do they just look at it as like a piece of metal?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I basically put it in the gun case and check the gun. I've always taken firearms because sometimes like I'll borrow one from someone, like Gunworks sometimes will let me use it at 375, or like if I'm on an event sponsored by Savage or something, they might send us with a gun or Yeah, I've always taken a rifle. It's a fair amount of paperwork on the rifles, though.
Is it?
And it's kind of a pain because you got to check in every country you go through. So of course, when you go to Joburg, and then as you go to different places, it's got to be checked by the police there.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's a pain.
Ugh.
And of course, they want you to give them some kind of tip, or it's
Some kind of tip. That's
yeah,
what they call
it's
it.
basically a bribe. Yeah. Can you tip the police? I'm like, I'm out of money.
weird.
Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but no, it's sort of a hassle. But I don't know. I've done it both ways. I've actually like brought my own, and then maybe I'm hunting like a different species where I need maybe a lower caliber, and then they'll let me borrow one of theirs. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, because like I said, we really wanted to go over there and bring our own rifle.
Yeah.
Just I don't know, just because.
Totally.
It's
I
my
agree.
rifle.
Yeah.
And I shoot it at home, and
Yeah.
take it over there, and you're already comfortable with it and everything else. But we started looking at that. It's like maybe next time we go, we try to go from either Atlanta or JFK and fly straight through.
Yeah.
Then it'd be more feasible. But yeah, checking in when you're having a layover, unless you have like a few hours to kill, it's like,
Yeah.
man, that'd be
Yeah.
kind of stressful if you only have 45 minutes to make it to your next stop. And like, let me check this gun out.
Yeah. I mean, once you come back to the U.S., it's not that bad. But,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it seems like I've always flown to Africa. Usually, one time I did do United through, I think it was either Newark or JFK. But usually I go Atlanta and then go to Joburg, and then from there to wherever else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So, I mean, tell me about your African experience. Like, was that like kind of one of your, like, has that been a passion of yours for a while, or is it just kind of one of those things where you're just like, just go to Africa and see what happens?
So I got to be like 100% honest. So like I sponsored this TV show, and he goes, okay, we're going to film in Africa. He's like, you been to Africa before? I was like, no. He goes, well, the price you paid includes an Africa hunt. At that point, I'd never even killed a large game. I'd always killed little stuff in the South.
Oh, really?
So he's like, you probably ought to go down to Texas and shoot, some deer to get used to this. I was like, all right. So I did that before I went. And then I went to Namibia, and no, it was great. I got hooked. Yeah. So I feel like I've done I can't think of many plains game I haven't shot. So now I've transitioned to like killing stuff that can kill me.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's
Yeah.
cool.
That's the logical, transition.
Totally.
You're
Yeah.
like, these kudu and shit are fun, but man,
Yeah, or it kills
let's see
other
what happens.
Yeah,
Let's
so-
get something with a little bit more aggression under its belt.
So of course I've done lions and
Uh-huh.
leopard and buffalo. So
Yeah,
it's good.
buffalo is wild. When we were hunting out there, it's like just seeing the buffalo walking around, and when you're in the truck, you're kind of like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But then you get on the ground, you sneak up on them a little bit, and you're just like, oh shit, didn't know it was going to be buffalo right there.
Yeah.
And then they're right there, and like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
these things are so big.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there's so many of them.
Yeah, and it always seems like it's always kind of jungly, and then when you hear them get up, you're like, oh my gosh, they're coming at us because it's so jungly, you can't tell which direction they're
Yeah.
going. You can tell you startle them, and they get up like they smell you or whatever. It's like, oh man,
Yeah,
they're huge.
Oh man, even because we've only done plains game, but it's like just like stalking up on them and shooting into the whole herd of them. You're just kind of like, oh man, are they gonna come over and trample me, or what's going on here? And then I don't know. It's just the stakes are a lot higher.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm making a good shot, the first shot.
Yeah, it's tough. It's super tough. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It's I was in Zimbabwe, and it's hard because there'd be like 400 or 500 of them, and if you didn't like kill it with one shot, you could never find any tracks because there's hundreds of tracks there.
Oh,
you
sure.
couldn't find any blood because they stomped all over it, and I don't know how they just kind of pushed together, and they could hold one up even if it was hurt, and you never see it. Mm-hmm. It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Have you gotten into like any wild situations when you're hunting dangerous game?
There was people in our group that were attacked by a buffalo, and they weren't even hunting one. Oddly enough, it wasn't even wounded, which was really weird.
Really?
Yeah, I mean they got
Pissed off that day, I guess.
yeah they got pretty bad hurt.
Ooh.
I would say that one I did. I did a lion. We were tracking a lion that had been hurt. We found out later it got caught in a snare, so its foot was bleeding. So it was easier to track because you could see blood. And it was also killing like local farm animals because it couldn't, fend for itself. So
Yeah. Trying to get the low hanging fruit while it's hurt.
yeah, and it made us a little nervous, sort of tracking a wounded lion. And then I shot him, and I hit him, broadside, right, probably in the arm. Probably should have been down just a little bit lower. So he was alive for a while after that, and he wasn't happy. So he got 2 wounds. If I didn't have this on video, it would sound like I'm exaggerating, and it's not me boasting. It's me just saying I can't believe this happened. But I was with 2 professional hunters. One was from Zimbabwe because you have to have one from the country you're in, and then it was all put together by a South African PH. So I had 2 PHs there. And they told me, they're like, if this lion charges, you need to let us shoot first because you got a scope on. And the presumption is they're more accurate, which I figured they would be. They do this every day.
Sure.
They both shot and missed. So, and I didn't know that at the time, honestly. So I shot him and I hit him. But later I asked the Skinners, I was like, how many bullets were in that lion that went through the front, like in the chest area? Because that's what we was running right at us. And they're like, only one. And I was like, oh, wow, did I miss? They're like, no, you're the only one that hit. So it surprised me.
Damn.
And I got on video too. I was surprised the video guy didn't, crap himself and start running. But he stood right there, right on it. I mean, you could hear, and it just comes like right out of the, sort of the rough, jungly area right at us.
How close was it?
Yeah, I was probably 10 yards when I shot it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that'd be
it was
crazy.
Pretty crazy. Yeah,
Dang.
Yeah, like I said, I was shocked it was on video because later I was like, oh man, it was on video? He goes, yeah. I mean, so the tracker, I could tell he was sensing something because I heard him, he's like pointing and he's like whispering to the South African PH because this was the South African tracker and he's whispering something to him. He's like, he's right. About that time he comes running out.
Oh my goodness.
I could tell it freaked out a little bit. One of our PHs from South Africa, he was a big smoker drinker, but he couldn't almost handle it. It was almost too much for him. Like, did you see what just happened? I go, yeah.
Jeez. Well, 10 yards, I mean, that's close for anything.
Yeah, it was super close, and I agree.
Those things cover ground, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's like one more lunge, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
dang.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, see, I always told Ashton I really want to do some dangerous game, but
Yeah.
For one, they're more expensive, and
Yeah.
rightfully so. I mean,
Yeah.
my goodness. You get yourself, like, PHs are not, I mean, if I was PHing full time, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go put my life in line, but you got to make it worth it. You know?
Totally true. It's true. That's true.
Like, dang, they could do that day in, day out. Like our PH in Africa, we were talking to him, and he was telling us all sorts of stories about
bet
Cape
they see
buffalo and
everything.
lions and hippos and all sorts of stuff. And not every client's as good a shot as you are.
Yeah.
Whereas,
I got lucky. Yeah.
I mean, luck or good
Yeah.
shot, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It's like he's told some stories about some people that they just can't shoot worth a shit, and they're out there wounded and stuff, and they're like, dang, now we have to go track this wounded buffalo or lion or whatever it is, and they're like, man, this is hairy.
So I've started trying to read more because I feel like there's some things to be gained there. And what I read a book that said that like the highest miss percentage of animals, like the people that they miss the most on, is the leopard, and it's typically the closest shot. And it's kind of all in people's head,
Oh, for sure.
So then I was just like, man, I got to because I do feel like I was calm, maybe more calm than the other PHs. So I think that's the only thing that helped me. I was pretty much, all right, I've got a scope for a reason. I'm going to use it.
Yeah, right?
I'm not going to miss this guy. He's too close to miss.
Yeah. Oh, do you know, like, so when you're out there hunting like that, are you using more of like a low powered optic, or I mean,
we always just turn it back. I mean, it was probably
yeah.
a high powered, but I had it turned back as far as I could go. But yeah, I think that's how I was using a 375. I think Gunworks let me borrow their gun sometimes when they have.
Yeah.
They'll send.
It was a 375 H&H probably, or yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a minimum too. Is a 375, which is kind of like. That's a big boy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Those are fun though.
I used 416 on an elephant, but I used 338 on the first buffalo I shot.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Where was that at?
I was in Limpopo.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Yes, the Savage was connected with it, and they had one that they had a 338 they sent, and we had a 338 silencer. So voila.
How'd that go?
It was good.
Was it good?
Yeah, it dropped on the first shot.
No shit.
Yeah, no problem.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
almost
awesome.
too easy.
Yeah, well, that's pretty nice. Just keep going with that.
Yeah, totally. Worked out well.
Yeah. There was I was talking to, my PhD about it too, and he said when he does leopard hunts, he'll have like the client and then himself, then this one of the PHs, he said they'll take a shotgun with double aught buck just in case it gets like super, super close.
Smart.
And you just, hopefully you hit him in the head with it. But you have more of a pattern, obviously, in that situation. But man, yeah, I mean, that's stressful. I can't believe that 10 yards. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. I got nerved up when I shot a whitetail with my bow at 14 yards. I'm like, this thing is on top of me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was nerve wracking. No, now you're throwing something with teeth and claws at you.
I don't think I overthought it because at the time, once I watched the video, I was like, oh wow, I can't believe he got that on video.
Oh, that guy did good.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, that's me. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. So, I mean, you've done all sorts of stuff out there. Yeah. Have you done anything else outside of Africa? I guess you said you went to Texas, I guess, but
yeah, no, I haven't. I mean, other stuff in the U.S. Oh, I do wolves every year in Canada.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'll give federal credit to Ammo Company for connecting me with that. There's a guy, Lake of the Woods, so not too far north of you guys, but it's Badet. I go right through there, and usually I go, this year I'm going Christmas Day for a week, but last year, usually I go the first week in January. And the first year I shot 2, because you can get 2. I shot 2 in the first 20 minutes. This last year it took me 6 days, but he baits them, puts puts carcasses down in the, basically cuts them up the ice, puts them in the ice, kind of lets it, melt in there a little bit. And yeah, you basically just send a pop-up line and wait for them to come back.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I'm not like a huge predator hunter guy. Like in Iowa, I don't do a whole lot of coyote hunting. I've done it a few times. I haven't shot one yet, but wolves would be fun.
Oh,
especially
yeah.
like in like Idaho and stuff.
Yeah.
They basically give those tags away.
Yeah.
On residents. Like that'd be so much fun to get out there and do that.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, in Canada, I can't use a thermal or a silencer, but still, it's fun.
Oh, that's right. They have weird laws up there about silencers and stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, Idaho.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've got one maybe in December in Montana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So some of my staff's telling me that we have something planned in December in Montana. So we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wolves up there now.
Oh yeah.
They just kind of, I don't know what Colorado's thinking, but we'll see how that turns out. I've already heard they're starting to get whacked anyways. Like some ranchers are like, man, screw this thing.
I believe it. Yeah. Who's going to tell? Yeah.
That's crazy.
It. Yeah.
I think they even asked when they're talking about reintroducing wolves into Colorado, they asked Wyoming for wolves and like, no.
Yeah.
You don't want these.
No.
Like, we're not going to give them to you. That's stupid. Like, okay, fine. Let's go to Oregon then. They'll give them to us.
Yeah. Blue state. Yeah. Totally.
Like, yeah, no problem. Have fun.
Yeah.
Here you go.
That's funny.
I don't know how I feel about all that, but whatever. I don't live there anymore, so.
Yeah. Is that where you're from originally?
No, I'm from Iowa,
Okay.
but I was stationed in Fort Carson, Colorado for almost 4 years.
Cool.
So it was really nice. Yeah, Colorado's a beautiful state.
Oh, yeah.
When I lived there, it was right before they passed marijuana
Oh, sure.
to be legal.
Yeah.
But when I was actually in processing into Fort Carson, and I was in my hotel, and I was watching the news, and like, oh, Colorado passed marijuana, so now you can smoke weed and stuff. The next day, they're like, piss test.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the next day, and then I think we did a urinalysis in Colorado, like monthly forever, just because.
really?
Well, it was freshly legal, so
Yeah.
make sure these soldiers aren't getting high every night,
Yeah,
So,
interesting.
yeah, I just want to make sure we knew it wasn't legal for us.
Oh, that's smart.
So being
Yeah,
federal
yeah.
troops and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Same with us, because people say, well, it's legal in your state. Well, federal law says you can't. So you have to, because that's one of the questions on the 4473 when you fill it out or to buy a silencer, are you using any, unlawful drugs? And that would be unlawful.
that's true. That would be. Wait, weed's legal in South Dakota?
No.
Oh, I didn't think
just,
so.
Yeah, just since we're in all
In
42
general.
states, we have to think about it. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
true.
Yeah,
I get
and
what
of course,
you're
I
saying
told my team we would work we work some shows in Vegas. I'm like, all right, guys, don't go do that because I can't knowingly hire a felon. So if one of you guys become a felon while we're here, we're gonna have a problem.
Right. Yeah, that's why we made this shirt.
Yeah, that's funny. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, that'd be a tough sell. Like I don't know. I guess you could be a janitor.
Yeah.
Take a pay cut and
Yeah.
still work here. But
True, it's true. Yeah, no access to firearms.
yeah, right. I do actually. I screwed up already. Can you pull up Patreon, Ashley?
Patreon?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to end it on. I asked my patrons on Patreon. I told them I was coming out here. I'm like, hey, we're going to Sound Central. Anyone have any questions? So I do just want to end the episode on a question from them. Out of respect for them, but we had quite a few actually really interested in here. Yeah, let's see here. This is very unprofessional of me.
I'll have to.
By the way, so
and I'll cut this part. I'll have to do the intro with him. So I have a great plug for Silencer Central because I wanted to get him suppressors for Christmas and I didn't want him to know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I bought him from here.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great. This is super easy.
Yeah.
And I got it mailed to, got the package and everything like that. And so that was a big one. And one of his friends' wives, she's like, you bought it? Like, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah. No, it's good. That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. So I got a question from Nick Babiak. He's been a longtime supporter of Victory Drive. Really good dude. But he said, what are they expecting the first few days of January to be like? Have they started ramping up production to meet the expected surge? And also your personal favorite suppressor?
Okay, good question. So, when we run like a special, we tell someone we'll pay the tax stamp. Before all this happened, we used to see, say, a 3 to a 4x in sales, but that was over a finite period of time. I would say the ATF is expecting 2x, so twice as much volume on their website. So that's kind of the projection we're using. We figure they may know more than we do because they've got all the data.
Sure.
So we're expecting, I don't know how long that'll last. I do think more people will come into the market. And as you know, it's, once you use one, you'll probably want more.
Yep.
So, I would say the hard part we have ramped up production. But the hard part is, I'm not sure the rest of the industry has, because really they don't have any revenue coming in right now because everyone's waiting on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So I could see a scenario. I mean, I've had to lean on my bank card, being honest. I'm just saying, hey, I'm losing money right now. I'm just, told them, hey, here's my books. I'm losing money, but I need to borrow some to put some on the shelf because I think it'll sell really well.
Right. Well, it's one of those things too, where it's like if you don't have the product, you can't make any money.
I know. So. And of course, they're helping us build the building next door. So they're like, hey, we're already in with you. We'll find a way to help you. So that's been helpful. But I think it would be hard if you didn't have a good relationship with a good, bank to borrow money because, right now there's not a ton of revenue coming in or we're losing money. So the question is, how do you then find enough resources to invest? But we've done that. So we feel like we've got a lot of inventory, which we think will help us. Because, we sell Banish to individuals. We sell every other product. So the goal also is to get other people's products. And right now we feel like people are discounting their products because they're not having many sales. So we're trying to tap into that to get as many products on the shelf as we can so that we're ready January 1st, both of the Banish and everyone else's. We feel like we're in a good position from an inventory perspective. We think that'll help us going into the market. So I think that's all positive. My favorite suppressor, boy, I still like the Banish Backcountry. I know I mentioned it earlier, but it's just so small and short, and it's kind of fat. And it's kind of the first ones I could think of that was 100% titanium, so it's super light, but it's also really quiet. The funny story I tell is I took my daughter hunting down in South Texas, and I'm pretty much spoiled here. They'll sight the rifle in for me, and then they'll tell me, while I'm on the plane, which rifle they sent with me. So I don't usually know.
Sure.
So I get to this resort to hunt, and we've got these, carts that everyone's got their silencers on the back. And I look at mine, and I'm like, man, I've got the two shortest silencers. Mine are gonna be loud. I'm embarrassed. That's what my assumption.
Right.
And then when I shot it, it was like the quietest. I was like, oh heck yeah,
we're doing something right here.
That's perfect. Yeah. So I'd say I definitely, I pheasant hunted the other day with that new Banish 12. So that's fun. But
that's interesting. Yeah, that looks really cool. I've seen some videos on it, and I'm just like,
you should feel one before you leave. It's titanium 3D printed. It's nice, but I'd still say that backcountry just impressive to me how we got it so small and still quiet, and it's a little bit fatter, but to offset for the length. But no, that's probably my favorite personal one because I like to hunt.
Yeah. Have you ever made suppressors in anything other than titanium, or is that you start out with a material?
That's a good question. Let me think about that. We make one for the Buck Commander guys that is stainless. It's like a $130. So that's pretty much. I'm thinking that might be the only one that we make that's not titanium. It's just I just found hunters want it super light. And they do display well at shows. When you hand someone a titanium one, all titanium, they're like, I got to have that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Nothing else works with that.
Yeah.
I learned that because I used to think, honestly, like when I first started doing this, I had this weird feeling that, people are not going to want to spend that much money on a titanium one, so I would quit bringing it to the shows. And guys would be like, hey, do you have that light one you had last year? And I'm like, oh, man, I should have brought that because people are willing to pay more for something that's, higher quality, a little bit lighter.
Yeah. Well, especially, like you said, in the hunting industry with, like, guys going out there and, mountain hunters.
Yeah.
Like, oof. Ounces equal pounds.
We buy so much titanium that I haven't really priced stainless steel, but I think because we buy so much titanium, we get it at such a good price that we're probably not paying that much more than what other people are paying for stainless steel.
Sure, that makes sense.
I know our cost of goods are more expensive than maybe some of the other silencer manufacturers because we use titanium because it's harder to weld and it's also harder to machine because it's just a stronger metal. But it's funny, when I first started doing this 20 years ago, people didn't think that silencers would work at titanium. They felt like they were too brittle, they'd get too hot, they'd crack. Just everyone had in their head that wouldn't work. But I was like, we got to figure out a way to make it work because hunters want that lightweight on there. So we just doubled down on it. And I would even say, we first started making them, the Mac brothers, we convinced them to kind of dive in with it. Now they're really well known for their receivers they make out of all titanium. So it seems like it's, it's kind of catching on, make more and more hunting type, things that you can use for hunting out of titanium because it is very durable. It's light and a strong metal. Military's using it for,
Well, that's kind of cool to be part of like, I don't know if you want to say like big like industry change like that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool to be like, yeah, I was
totally.
one of the first ones to use titanium and stuff in this type of situation for firearms. So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool to see it kind of going that route. And people are starting to figure it out.
Yeah, because the first company I bought titanium silencers from was QSM, Quicksilver Manufacturing. They ended up going out of business. They were out of Idaho, but they made an all titanium silencer. And I was just like, man, our customers love that. We got to figure out a way we got to do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, one more thing I do need to cover before we go. So Silencer Central, you guys decided to split with Banish. So Banish is its own company now?
Yeah, so basically...
I guess, I don't know. If you want to explain that to me, because I just heard about this not too long ago from Carter and stuff.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I know a lot of people listening don't really understand that whole thing. So
Yeah. So years ago, I would work events, and what I found is I couldn't find anyone that could supply me with the amount of silencers I needed to sell. Really, I really needed them in the first quarter. So I couldn't find any manufacturer that I could go to and say, hey, I need 5, 10, 15,000 suppressors for first quarter. Most of them would look at me like, that's how many we do all year. We can't supply you for that many for first quarter.
So you were. Wait, I'm sorry. Let me pause. So you were selling that many a
Oh,
year
yeah.
before you started making Banish?
Oh yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It was all
Okay.
the gun shows, sports
Yeah.
shows, farm shows. So I was churning. I was working a gun show every weekend. I mean, at one point we were working, even more now, but even before we went to all 42 states, I mean, we were doing 6, 7 shows a weekend.
Wow.
I mean, Minnesota, Iowa. I mean, you're basically all over Des Moines. Yeah, so we were working shows all the time. I was selling a ton of silencers. So we ended up going to first people I worked with were out of Georgia. Liberty Suppressors, and they would basically make their suppressor and then just put our name on it. So it's kind of a white label scenario. But then I started having feedback for them. They make a monolithic core, so basically it's like one silencer in the middle that's all machined out. They end up having to make them like really long to handle magnums, and I don't know, it became complicated. So I was like, can you do stack baffles? Because I feel like you get less first round pop when you have stack baffles. It's typically more efficient. It's quieter. You can make it magnum rated. So they were too open to the feedback, which I get. I mean, it was their product. I didn't want to change it. But then I met these guys at the Rapid City Gun Show west of here, and they're like, hey, we came from Dakota Arms. The only thing we do is make firearms. We'd be interested in making suppressors for you. And at the time, I tested every suppressor on the market. Back then, the quietest one was HTG. They were out of Idaho. The guy who made the Vice muzzle brakes, it was his company. And I tried to buy him. It didn't work out. But basically, the ones that tested the quietest, I handed it to the Mac brothers, and I said, you got to make something as quiet or quieter than this. And the other catch, I want them in titanium. So the first batch, they made titanium tube, stainless steel baffles, and then they went to, eventually we progressed to all titanium baffle and tubes.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so to your question on Banish, so basically before we only had the manufacturing capacity to make for Silencer Central. And then as we started getting our manufacturing sort of fine-tuned where we could make more, we said, hey, why don't we sort of split it where Banish doesn't just sell to Silencer Central, but also sells to other people? Because I would hear people say, hey, I asked my local dealer about Banish, and he said he can't get it. And I was like, so it's kind of like, we got to fix that. I mean, if there's people that want our product, they don't have it, that's not good. So now that we have enough capacity, last year we said, hey, let's go to wholesalers and say, hey, we'll sell you Banish directly, and then you could sell it to your dealers. So we sort of run it as two separate companies. So then you have Silencer Central that sells everything, including Banish. So it sells all products. And then you have, Banish kind of freestanding on its own, and that sells to whoever wants to buy it, individual dealers.
Oh, okay.
So they could buy it directly from their local dealer. So the dealers could buy from us directly. They can go through a wholesaler, or they can get it through us. So it just sort of opens it up. I mean, something we've done recently too is we started working with a lot of online retailers that sell firearms, and now they sell silencers, and we fulfill it for them. So in that scenario, we sell every product as well.
Yeah. Well, because at the end of the day, you're an FFL too.
Yeah.
So you have to have that. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, all right, makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, okay. Well, that actually makes a lot more sense now. So let's say I'm at my local gun store and they have a Banish for sale.
Yeah.
And I buy it. Does Silencer Central, would you guys still take care of the paperwork?
No,
or
we don't
that's
do
all
anything.
through them?
Yeah, it's all through them.
It's all through so it's just Banish is selling just like selling to the wholesaler and into the local gun store, and then they figure it out from there.
Yep,
Well, that makes
absolutely.
sense.
Yeah,
But then
absolutely.
you can also still buy them from Silencer Central.
Yeah, totally.
On the flip side of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, get them anywhere you want. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that makes
And I
sense.
do feel like the data we have shows it's like the number one selling brand. And I think to your point earlier, a lot of people focused 100% on the tactical market, and they kind of saw us growing in the background thinking, wow, we might have missed something on hunting. They really seem to be doing pretty well. So then you see companies sort of focus on hunting. But if you think about Banish, it sort of was kind of focused. The DNA, what started it, was pretty much hunting. So
Yeah.
a lot of our lines are made more so for hunting.
Yeah, absolutely, and that really shows through with just like who you guys work with and stuff like that too. With I know you guys work with Meat Eater and everything
Yeah.
else. Like it makes sense. You've really focused on the hunting
Yeah.
outdoors space.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I don't know. Yeah, if I was a different company, I'm like, yeah, shit, maybe we should at least make one suppressor for hunters.
Yeah, so you're seeing that more,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah.
It
It's good.
gets more people interested in hunting because years ago I would hear, well, I'll only shoot 2 or 3 times a year for deer. Maybe 2 bullets to sight it in and 1 at the deer. What would I need a silencer for? But then if they use it, they're like, you know what? I don't know why I was waiting so long. I wish I had done this sooner.
Yeah, well, that's one thing too with Victory Drive. My pikes, I really, because I'm an avid shooter, and I was a gun guy before, like I don't know, since a young age. I've always been just infatuated with firearms and stuff like
Yeah.
that. From a young age, I don't know why. Maybe I watched too many action flicks. I don't know, but I've always been interested in guns, and in the hunting world, there's a lot less like. I guess you could call them like quote unquote shooters.
Yeah.
Than there are hunters. Like there's a lot of people that hunt. Like I get a box of ammo when I bought the gun, and I shoot 3 or 4 of them to get it sighted in. Then I have 15, 16, 17 more that'll last me 16 or 17 more years.
Yeah,
Because I just shoot
yeah.
once a year
Yeah,
after that.
yeah.
I had a deer
Yeah.
and call her a night. So there's not that average there's not like a whole bunch of hunters that really get into avid shooting, but they're starting to get more and more, which is awesome. That's kind of where I want to start focusing myself more on is like getting hunters to become shooters and shooters become hunters.
Right.
Then we can all share in it because there's a lot of like weird stuff like politically where it's like we're kind of separate.
Yeah.
Where like, we don't want to take your guns. We don't want to take your hunting guns. We just want to take the scary ones. Kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
yeah.
like, if we can all work together and be on the
Totally.
same team,
Yeah,
that makes a
totally.
lot more sense for everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's me personally. Like that makes sense where you're targeting more of the hunting community, and I just think it helps bridge that gap because I think for the longest time suppressors have always been looked at as like tactical, like shooter type situation. Like there's no reason for you to have it out in the field.
True.
And now people are starting to see it more and more, and like, man, it is nice for myself. It's nice for my neighbors. It's nice for my spotter. It's nice for everybody to be a little bit quieter, more conscious about what's going on. So
Totally. And I think that people forget about that Pittman Robertson and the connection between conservation and firearms. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I do think the Hearing Protection Act will go through if the conservation groups push it. Because right now, Pittman Robertson gets nothing on a silencer with this new tax stamp change. They weren't getting anything before. But if they could push Congress from a conservation perspective that they were going to get 10 or 11% to go to Pittman Robertson, I think they could get it through.
yeah, they for sure could because hunters, I mean, it's a small amount of people, but they have a really powerful voice. There's a lot of very powerful hunting lobbies out there that can help get that kind of stuff pushed.
And the key thing, too, is a lot of times it's a bipartisan issue. There's Democrats that support hunting, too.
Yep. Well, I mean, I'm not for sure. Pittman Robertson a long time ago, but I don't know if they were Republicans.
Yeah, no, it was everybody. Yeah,
It was,
it
just,
was in
it
the
was a
30s
very,
too, believe it or not.
Yeah. So like, it kind of made like everyone's just kind of on board. Like, well, yeah, we should be stewards of the earth and take care of our land.
Totally.
And if we're gonna have public hunting land and millions of acres out west and all this other stuff, and we're putting back into conservation and going like the Teddy Roosevelt route, then it makes sense. We should pay a little bit into it to keep it going.
Totally.
Because if it ran on donations, it would not be great. So
Totally.
yeah, but I mean PNR thing, that's been such a big thing for the outdoors, and a lot of hunters don't realize how much PNR money. Like they're like, oh well, hunters always talk about PNR and how much we help the wildlife. It's like, but you don't realize like 90+% of Pittman Robertson money comes from non-hunters.
Yeah, true.
Comes from just avid shooters.
Yeah, totally.
The guy that's sitting on the flat range shooting, 1,500 rounds of 223 at a piece of metal all weekend. Like,
Yeah, totally.
That guy just gave a lot of money to conservation that you get to enjoy as a hunter.
Yep.
But you never thank the guy that's just out there shooting in his backyard.
Yeah, totally. And those facts have been helpful in building more gun ranges because it's kind of like, hey, if the shooter is the one paying a lot of this in, what is he getting out of it if he doesn't hunt? It's building more gun ranges, which has been good.
Absolutely. Like, I think the National Shooting Sports Foundation, they've been really big on getting gun ranges built, which is awesome because we have all this public land. We don't have a whole lot of gun ranges.
Yeah.
So like, where do you guys go to shoot? Like someone's backyard or a private range or something like that. But
So I recently got on the NSSF Board of Governors. So
congratulations.
thank you, sir.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, it's good.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. When was that? Like
Just a couple months ago, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You haven't
like June, July, yeah.
you haven't even like kicked the door in yet. Then,
Yeah. No, they said if you make it on the board, they're voting on this call. Then we'll pipe you in. So I've been on one call, and then I had one last week. So yeah,
Oh, nice.
Still fairly new, but it's good. I mean, they got a lot going on behind the scenes. It's impressive to kind of just start becoming a part of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Well, hey, I know you're a busy guy, and I don't want to take up too much more of your day.
Appreciate you coming to us.
No, yeah, absolutely. This has been amazing. This is like a really nice facility. I can't wait to see more of it. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Brandon.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Yeah.
No
Appreciate it.
problem. If you had a gun, shoot him in the head.